Yo, what's going on? Welcome back to Give and Growth. My name is Ryan, and today I wanted to share with you how I lost 50 pounds in 4 months by viewing my health like my finance. So before we get into this, if I can ask for you to please like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification bell for our videos. We've been putting out a lot of our Grow Show content recently. I've had a lot of great feedback, a lot of interaction with y'all, and I'm very, very thankful that y'all continue to join us on our financial journey. It's a blessing to be able to wake up every single day and know that I could be able to come back and get on this camera and talk to y'all and share my experiences, and y'all share yours with me and Eric so that we can be able to continue to get better every single day. As a disclaimer, I'm not exactly where I want to be still, but that's why this is a journey. It's supposed to be a marathon. It's not supposed to be a sprint like what I thought it was before, where I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna lose 30 pounds in like 2 weeks and then go back to my old ways. That's not how this was. This took a lot of work, and I wanted to share kind of the thought process that I had behind it. So to start, back in January of this year, I decided that, you know what, I'm going down a very, very bad path, and I was not really making a lot of progress. My weight loss journey has actually spanned over the course of maybe about 4 years so far. Back in 2020, I was at a very, very dark place in my life when it came to my weight. I was at maybe like 275. I was just not caring about anything. I didn't really think about my health for the longest time. I remember back in 2014, I was actually around like 190, very, very fit, very conscious of my health and my fitness at the time. But for some reason, from 2015 on all the way to 2020, I just didn't care at all. I was just eating whatever I wanted to. I ate so much fast food throughout that time. Like Wendy was my best friend. Ronald McDonald, all of them. I love them all, and I still love them. I just don't eat them as much as I do now. So in 2020, I decided to make a change. I did the keto diet, and I actually ended up losing around 50 pounds. I went from 275 all the way down to 220, 225 was around the weight that I ended my keto journey. I did it for about maybe 5 months or so. The idea that I had was I was able to lose a lot of weight very, very quickly. And 5 months is not really like a long time, but I felt like in 5 months I lost around 10 pounds a month, which seemed pretty healthy to me. And that experience really changed how I ended up viewing weight loss in general. I was like, okay, well, I can do a crazy diet like the keto diet, and I'm just gonna just lose a lot of weight, forget carbs. Carbs are no good. I'm just gonna just do this every time I want to lose weight. The problem is with diets like the keto diet is that if you're not careful, you end up going back into bad habits, and it turns into this roller coaster where you end up doing very, very well. You lose the weight, but then you go back to your old ways, and then you gain it all back. That's pretty much what happened to me, but I didn't end up gaining all the weight back. I ended up getting back to maybe like 250, 260 around there, maybe like 255. It was around there. So I was definitely in that roller coaster of just crash dieting, and then going through and just binge eating. And it was a process that never fixed the underlying issue, which was basically, why I do these things. But pretty much since then, after keto, I ended up just being in this mindset where it's like, okay, well, if I can just be under what I was when I first started, then I'll be fine. The problem is that, I was continuing to eat like garbage. I was continuing to live this life that I wasn't really considering my health and my future. And every now and then I would go into times where I'm like, all right, well, I want to go back and get into it. I want to lose more weight. I want to get down. And I had goals, but I never really achieved those goals. And I ended up just going back to my old ways again. It wasn't until this year where I decided, you know what? What's really going on? Why do I keep on going through this journey where I do very, very well, and then I do very, very poorly? And honestly, if it wasn't for my wife Lydia, I love you so much, for kind of asking me the hard questions. One of the biggest questions that she would ask me was, is food trying to replace something or suppress something, have you looked into, you know, your heart and your mind? She took the approach of going down to the root of it, to my psyche, my emotions. So something just clicked for me in that moment. And what I realized was that food was a form of comfort. It was a form of security. It was this big idol in my life. And I ended up being someone that I felt like that I couldn't live without getting bad food every single week. So now that I knew that food was this thing of comfort and security and kind of filling a void or a numbness in my life, I started to think about what are some other things in my life that I was able to go to the roots and put it in its place and have a better relationship with. You know, I started thinking about the things that I thought, you know, I was even good at that point. And one of the biggest things in my life that I think that I'm like relatively decent at is managing my finances. I always have this thought that, you know, I live below my means, I restrict myself, and I just put it in its place where it never consumes me, but I'm using it as a tool to achieve the things that I want in my life. So then I was like, you know what? What if I thought about my health like I thought about my finances? And what does that really look like? So I had some parts of it already, like, you know, being on like keto and other diets like that. You know, I knew like the restriction, but there was never this thing where it's like, okay, well, I need to keep it in its place for a long period of time and not just assume that, okay, well, I'm doing these things good right now, I deserve to be able to do things later. More of like, if you really want this process to work, you have to do it for a reasonable amount of time, and you have to not cheat or try to get out of it or like compensate or compromise yourself. For example, during the keto diet, I cheated all the time on that thing, to be honest with you. I was still eating bread sometimes. I was still eating, you know, a lot of other carb dense foods that would knock me out of ketosis. If you think about it, it ended up being this thing where, 55 pounds in like 5 months is pretty good, but I would argue that a lot of that weight was a lot of very easy fat to lose. So I don't really want to count that as like true weight loss compared to my journey this year. So I went into my weight loss journey this year applying my financial mindset to my health. And let me just tell you, the results have been amazing. So I started out 2024 at around 235, and I was able to lose 50 pounds and get all the way back down to 185, which is where I currently reside. Now you're probably asking, well, what kind of diet and what kind of exercise did you do? So the diet that I actually went with was actually the carnivore diet. And the reason why I chose this was because I knew how restrictive the carnivore diet was, and I was also researching about how a lot of people who've tried it before, not only were they losing weight, but they were also they would get a lot of like really, really good energy. They felt like the brain fog was gone. You know, a lot of people would argue that it's because, oh, you're like eating meat, but really you were restricting yourself from eating, you know, sugar and using glucose as a form of energy. So how that correlates, if I'm living below my means in my finances, that means I need to be in a calorie deficit. And if I'm restricting myself in my finances for the better, then I need to restrict myself in what I eat. I'm not here to tell you that the carnivore diet is the way you should go, but this is just what worked for me. So I ate nothing but like eggs, ground beef, bacon. I tried to stay away from dairy. You know, I try to go pretty heavy into mainly the better protein sources, which arguably bacon's not really like the best form of protein, but I end up getting my nutrients from plants through AG1, not a sponsor. I just want to thank Eric for actually giving me a whole pack of that to use. Thank you so much for that. You know, I also took my like multivitamins and stuff like that every single day. You know, I even took fiber supplements just to get fiber. So overall, I was on this path of hardcore restriction and being able to think of my health like my finances, because if I'm good at that, then I can just translate that over to this. Other than the diet, something that I also decided to do was walk 10,000 steps a day. I didn't even go to the gym during this period, and I definitely want to start going to the gym so I can start building muscle. But overall, I was trying to lose as much weight as I could, so I went with something that probably wasn't as strenuous, which was just like walking. So the last month of my carnivore journey, I actually decided to do a full month where I walked a total of 150 miles for the month of April, which equates to around 5 miles every single day, which was actually a lot harder than I thought. Some days I didn't want to walk at all, and I realized that I should have gotten a walking pad so I can be able to multitask, but that's besides the point. But yeah, I lost 50 pounds from January up until the end of April. I'm now off carnivore, and I definitely have a new mindset that is helping me to view not only the things that I eat a lot better, but also continuing to better myself in my health through like exercising. My mental health is a lot better now. I'm also trying to find the balance between getting off carnivore and eating normal now, to where I'm not going too hard into eating bad foods because I've been off it for a while, and trying to maintain my weight and just be more mindful in general. So now I just wanted to go into a few things that I would like to just provide to you on kind of like the lessons that I've learned overall with this journey. One of the first ones is that, they say that Rome wasn't built in a day, and to get to where you want to be, it's going to take time. When it came to my health, even though 50 pounds in 4 months is actually pretty quick, every single day was so hard, and I had to remember, if I do the same thing every single day, I know that it's going to pay off sometime down the line this year. And it just happened to come a lot faster for me than I thought, which was great. And the same thing can be said about your finances. You know what I mean? Like, when you make a budget, when you go into thinking about, oh, well, I need to make a lot of money right now, or I'm going to be missing out on the boat, or I'm going to be, drowning. Really, if you make a good decision every single day and you have a plan going forward, those things will come, and it takes time. So being patient is one of the biggest things that I've learned. The second thing, which I think that y'all have heard me say a million times, is that there's some things that are just not worth it when you're trying to be on a journey like this. For me, I was like, okay, well, carnivore is great, but I really like, French fries and potatoes and bread and pasta and sweets. And I'm not telling you that those things are bad, but when I started carnivore and actually going on this journey, I realized that some of those things I just don't need right now, and that I can be able to have them in moderation at some point, but I'm on a goal right now to lose the weight. Your mind is going to tell you this every single day, that, oh, well, you need this, you need this, you need this. Evaluate what that thing actually is in your life and whether or not you actually need it. For a while, I thought that I needed to eat bad food every single day. I needed to get that feeling of comfort and security, but I realized that all of that was a lie. I was lying to myself, and I wasn't progressing in the way that I wanted, not only physically, but also, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. All those things have seen a drastic improvement when I understood that there's some things that are just not worth it. When it comes to your finances, there's a lot of things that people buy that probably aren't worth it when they're trying to reach their financial goals. We keep talking about how consumerism is kind of killing a lot of people's wealth building. And with that comes the idea that, like, you're probably spending too much money on things that you don't need, and you should restrict yourself, and you should consider the future, put money away into retirements, pay off all your bad debt. And that stuff takes a long time, especially if you're very, very deep into it. A very, very practical way that you can be able to apply the second step is just think about the things that you normally do, and maybe think, okay, well, is this helping me get to the goal that I want to get to with my health and my finance, or is it taking me a step back? And then you should decide on whether or not you should keep that in your life, at least for right now, until you can be able to get to where you want to be, because there's a lot of things that I want to get back into, whether it be with my health or my finances. And I'm a lot closer to there now, getting back to those things than I was before. And it took me having to think, okay, well, right now it's not good for me, but eventually when I change my mindset to better balance out these things, I can be able to still enjoy things in my life, but not go too far into it. So the third and last thing I'm probably going to think is the most controversial one, because I think that a lot of people would disagree with this. To me, if you can't do this on your own, you're probably never going to do it. And you might think, oh yeah, well, if I had a good support system, or if I had a good group of like friends or family that can be able to walk alongside me in this journey, then it'll give me a lot more motivation. For me, this was not the case. Not that I didn't have support from family and friends, but I thought, okay, well, this is a solo journey and I need to do my best on this journey. If I had no one to help me out, I'm doing this on my own. And yeah, at times it did feel lonely, but getting those bricks placed every single day, like myself, without the help of like anybody else, picking up those bricks and building this house of success by myself is something that compounded for me and helped me to see like, wow, like I'm actually doing these things and it's actually working, and I'm able to do it without any influence from like anybody else. Now, this is not to say not to do your research or like get advice from like other people, but those people are not waking up every single day and are like, hey, you need to do this. They're not feeding you the food that you need to eat. They're not making you go out and take a walk or go to the gym. That's all on you. That's all on you. It's not on anybody else but you. When I strip down everything to my core, what's left is who I am. And who I was someone who I did not like at all when it came to my health. I had to literally change the core of myself so that I can be able to, to have a reason to do these things. Because at the very end, when you're left by yourself, that's all that there is. And who that is what it is. So, if I didn't change who I was at my core, then I would be going against myself every single day, trying to do something that I thought was better for me. But my core was telling me, no, you don't need that. You don't need that. Strip away everything, and what's left, which is basically like your values, how you think, your mindset, whatever that is, you should form that in a way that will help you to reach your goals, and things will be much easier for you. Everything else is pretty much going to support you, like, your friends and family, or even like people that you might work out with or do life with, whatever. Those things support your core, and your core is the thing that's moving, and it's you making all of those decisions every single day. Now, this works for me, and it did work for me, but for you, being around people to help you through this journey will probably do a lot better for you. And whatever works for you is the best. What does that look with finances? That means you don't have anybody influence you on the things that they think is right for you regarding your finances, but you do what you think is right for you based on your goals and whatever you want to accomplish in life. It's okay to have a support system of people that give you different ideas, but in the end, just like with the health analogy, they're not paying your bills. They're not giving you money. They might, but most people, arguably, that's probably not the case. They're not the ones that are taking care of your business. That's you. That's you doing all this stuff. Whatever is at your core with your finances when it comes to, your mindset and how you think is what's going to come out in the purchases you make and the things that you actually do. So to summarize, this journey has been very, very crazy for me. I feel like I've leveled up a lot when it came to my health, because now I have a better relationship with it. Losing that 50 pounds was one of the hardest things that I've done, but it was one of the most rewarding things. And, I'm hoping that I can be able to continue to go on this journey and reach more fitness goals and more health goals so I can increase my longevity. Because in the end, I want to be around for my friends. I want to be around for my family. I want to be able to enjoy, the money that I'm making and being able to help others likewise. Know who you are, know what your core is, and from there everything else is going to flourish. If you have to change that, you're changing it for the better, because I know that there's a lot of things in this life that might be telling you, oh yeah, these things are good, but it might not be good, and you have to evaluate that to really have a good foundation to move forward. I remember the very last day of my carnivore journey, I was taking a walk outside and I was listening to some classical music, and I remember most days where I was like, okay, I kind of want to get off my diet, or I kind of want to not walk today, or I kind of want to think differently. I remember most of those days, and all of those days ended up bringing me to this day. All of those good decisions have led to this day where I weighed myself at 185. I looked at myself in the mirror, and even though I'm not exactly where I want to be, I'm like, man, I have done this. And to be honest, I got a little emotional, and you know, it was a very, very big moment for me in my life, something that I'm never going to forget, and something that I'm hoping to be able to help others see that there is hope. There is a way out of that prison that is keeping you held down. It's crazy to think that I used to look like this not too long ago. It's crazy to think that that version of me was so poisoned in his mind, and all he cared about was comfort and security and feel good and dopamine rushes. I really had to send him through the fire, and what's come out is what you see today. It's been a great journey so far. So yeah, that is my journey on how I lost 50 pounds in 4 months on the carnivore diet and walking and viewing my health like my finances. If you have any questions about what you heard today, or if you wanted to talk about your journey in health or finances or whatever, I would be more than happy to talk. This wasn't really a video going over the diet part. I would suggest that you look into research on that on your own, because I'm not a licensed dietitian, and I'm not someone that has credentials to be able to tell you what you should do with your health or your finances. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy that, you know, I enjoy finances, and now I enjoy living a very, very healthy and happy life. We can all do better if you put your mind to it and just do your best. See you later.